Hey guys, today I'm going to try to take some cuttings and root some cuttings for some new plants off of this flowering maple. It's called a tiger's eye Abutilon. Let's see if there's not a bee in here, but you can see this is a really cool plant, and I've had a few friends ask me where I got it and they like one, so I'm going to try to start some and see if I can grow a bunch more. This one gets morning sun. It looks like it's kind of needing some water right now, but these things will bloom amazingly through the summer, through the fall. They grow, they'll bloom really well when it's cold in the 40s and stuff. They'll just burst out in like October or so. So it's a really cool plant, and they get really big. I'll show you one over here that's growing in the shade. It's really tall. It's looking for sunlight apparently, but let's go check it out. Here's the one I have growing in the shade, and I put it up under here and did not expect it to get this big, and it did really well. Some pieces of it, some limbs. Of course, it's not blooming at all being in the shade. Apparently it needs sunlight to bloom more. This one will bloom in the winter because this crepe myrtle above it doesn't have any leaves and the sun gets to it. But some of these limbs are good 12, 14 foot tall, so it's capable. Maybe you can see it right up in here. There's a limb of it, but it's capable of getting that big. And I'm gonna try to do some cuttings off of it today, and I'll show you how to do it. For my cuttings, I want to look for new growth, soft, without a flower bud on the end of it. So this one right here, it looks like it's growing out really well, and I need to cut some of this back because it's going crazy anyway. So I'll take this cutting, I'll use this for a cutting, cut off about 4 to 6 inches of it and remove the bottom leaves. And here's another one that I will probably take, I don't know, it's kind of too hard. You want them pretty new and flexible so they'll root really quick. Here's another possible one, but you want to cut it right here below a leaf node, so that new growth is coming out. Roots will come out in that area. So we're going to take a few of these cuttings and I'll show you how I stick them. Okay, I've got my cuttings. They're about 6 inches long or so. Really flexible, brand new green stuff. And I got this tiny one. It's kind of like a sucker on a tomato. I'm going to see how it does, if it roots better than these that are a little bit harder. This is new growth, but this is like fresh out of one of these crooks in the limb like this. It grows out like a sucker on a tomato. But yeah, here's my cuttings. And what I'll do, so they don't lose a lot of moisture through their leaves, is I'm going to cut these bottom leaves off. You can just pinch them off with your finger, but I have these nice little tiny snips that are really good for doing cuttings and doing these delicate cuts without damaging the rest of the plant. And you can probably take off more leaves than this, leave like 1 or 2 on the top, just till it gets rooted. But okay, there's that. Here's something else new I do with my cuttings. I use straight up perlite, put a little bit of soil conditioner in the bottom of it to keep it from going out of the holes in the pot. But this stuff lets a lot of air in and holds moisture, so there's a lot of air pockets in it because it don't compact at all. So it's great for starting cuttings. And I put it in my little container, whatever you want to use, and just totally run water through it till you know it's completely saturated, and don't let it all flow out. But yeah, totally saturate it. Make sure it's coming out of the bottom as wet as you can get it. Alright, and for this particular cuttings, I'm going to use some rooting hormone. And this rooting hormone is really big, really old. So I don't know if I should even use it. I'm cutting some more leaves off of these because they're all, I just cut them like 5 minutes ago and they're already wilting. Anyways, okay, by the way, I've been told not to do this, but it hasn't affected me so far, is don't dip it in your rooting hormone, because if you got some kind of fungus or disease on your plant, it'll spread all your other ones. But we're just going to do it today. And I'm going to put all 4 of these guys down in here. Here's the little one. And I'm putting them all 4 in here because I don't even know if this is going to work. And once they get some roots started, I can move them into something else. Alright. Okay, that's all we're going to do for now. And I will douse them down again to settle the perlite. And for me, the best luck I've had with cuttings is putting them right over here by my fountain, because there's water always dripping here and it's like a rainforest. It's always wet around here and it's shady and keep them cool and moisturized. I have some these coleus cuttings I did yesterday in a video. They'll be part of the next video. And they're growing. They haven't wilted at all, even though it's been like 95 degrees out here. And here's some cuttings of cigar plants I did the other day. They've rooted. And I'm gonna let them get a little bigger before I move into something else. So we'll check on these Abutilon cuttings in about a week or so, and I'll let you know how they're doing. All right, it's been about 4 days since we took the cuttings on the Abutilon. So we're gonna go over here. These have been outside. I've been watering them every day. I totally don't expect roots to be formed, but we're gonna check it out because, they're not dead and wilted yet. That's a really good sign. There's no new growth, but we can still check and see if there's some kind of root action going on. And let me move it over here to the table so I can get to it with 2 hands and not damage the roots, because they're very tender at this stage. And hold on just a second. Excited to check this because this is the first time I've ever tried to root these things, but I just use the same technique I use for everything else. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to squeeze this to break up anything's compacted from being wet and dry over and over. And no roots on that one. But it's not dead, that's a good sign. I'm not sure if that's considered a root or not. There's a tiny little, well, this thing just will not focus today. We're going to stick that back in there. Let's see what this one looks like. Don't see any roots on it either. So, for some reason they're staying alive. We're going to leave them there a while. Sometimes it takes these ones that are a little harder and more woody stemmed plants to take root. Here we are about another week later, and these things are still green, and I see a little bit of growth on them, so maybe they've rooted in the past week or so. Let's check it out. I'll loosen this soil up a little bit so I don't break the roots if they're in there. Look at there. Awesome. They rooted. First time ever. And we know it works, and I hope I don't break the root when I shove it back down in there. We'll check the other ones. Let me get that in there. All right, and since I see a whole new leaf on this one, I don't know if you can see it right. Yeah, that's like a whole new brand new leaf, so there's obviously roots on it. But I'm gonna take it out so you can see just how many roots are on it, and I hope I don't damage it. And weirdly enough, there are no roots on it. Strange. Let's put her back in there. Check these other ones. Hopefully I didn't pull the root off when I was moving it up. This one has what looks like a very small root on there. So we'll put it back in there. This one I may clip this big leaf off. Well, we know we got one rooted. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh yeah, look at that. That one's got a lot of roots. Awesome. I successfully rooted Abutilons, the flowering maple. They look so cool. Let me poke a hole in there so I don't break these roots. Waller it out a bit. Well, there you go. Now I know how to root these things. I can start some more of these awesome looking trees with these beautiful flowers on them. Thanks for watching, and good luck if you try this, and we'll see you next time.